Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm just waiting a couple more minutes here for a few others to join, and we will get this eventPERCH webinar started. And for those of you who have joined previously or not joined, today we'll be going over a sort of eventPERCH overview and a welcome to eventPERCH with the goal of giving some background about where we come from, what eventPERCH is all about, and a quick feature overview of how it works. With the goal that you all will sign up and check it out and then join us for our office hours on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for all of our active user members. So thank you all again for joining, and happy Wednesday. And I'll get started in just another moment here. Dawson and Lynn are out at a wedding in New York, so they are busy like all of us are in this wedding season. And I'll be hosting today. My name is Ryder, and I have had the pleasure of working with Lynn for a long time, over a decade now, both in the event operations and offsite events, as well as on the systems and kind of product side of things. So I'm happy to host the webinar today, and great to see you all. We did release a couple new features this week, so I look forward to mentioning those a little bit later in the webinar and showing you all how they work. One of those is our new shareable links for view-only links that you can share with clients and or vendors to have view-only access to your timelines and budgets as a live view. And then the other one is the per project member access, where if you're working with certain team members on certain projects, or you have a freelancer that's working on just one project, you can share access with just that one wedding to keep everyone focused on the work that they are assigned to. So I'll get started here. If you haven't joined the webinar before, welcome. Again, we'll be going over a high-level history of eventPERCH and the overview of how the features work, and we hope that you sign up at eventperch.com. It is very easy to get started, and once you create your account with just a couple minutes, you can invite team members, join our 30-day free trial, and reach out to us and connect with us on office hours to learn more about the details behind eventPERCH. So really some background on eventPERCH, and before we get started, just to explain where it came from. Again, my name is Ryder, and Easton Events has been operating for quite some time before I ever joined the team, but I have had the pleasure of working with Lynn on offsite events and in the back office and developing products for her. And eventPERCH really started in the early 2000s, where Lynn, working on several events and earlier on in her career, she really realized the impact and value of systematizing or creating systems around the event planning and execution process, and really not only taking some of the heavy lifting off of the planning process, but also being able to execute with confidence and to reduce some of the common errors or duplicative work that is often required by managing timelines and budgets and payment schedules and a lot of other things in the traditional Word or Excel, or sometimes even pen and paper in the early days. And so early on, Lynn was working, someone on her team had some system experience, and they decided to start the first endeavor of building an internal tool for their teams for timelines and budgets, which is known as FileMaker today. It's kind of a database solution, and really Lynn created the concept of eventPERCH early on, 2 decades ago, with the idea that you could create timelines and you could interconnect items, and you could create one master timeline, and the database with just simple tagging line items, where the planner would only be responsible for building the timeline. And then in addition to the start time and end time and the description of the line item, there would be an additional column to tag who needed to know about that information. And then the planner could, at the click of a button, filter that master timeline into all the different stakeholder views that planner needed to execute or previously produce manually in duplicating timelines. And not only did that save the planner a ton of time, but it also made sure that when you got to the event day, there wasn't that uh-oh moment where that vendor version of your timeline missed the update that you made on Wednesday night and actually didn't have the line item that your other timeline had because it was accidentally missed or an old version was pulled. And so that was really where eventPERCH was originally born, and the Easton Events team used that FileMaker solution for the last 2 decades or so, until we decided to build eventPERCH and make it available to the public. So it is very, very excited to provide this solution back to the event and planning industry, and really, as Lynn says, with the hopes of leaving the industry better off than where she found it. So we hope that you can sign up and enjoy eventPERCH. As you can see here on the screen, we do host these webinars on generally we have been doing them every other Wednesday at 1 p.m. We will be shifting into more of a topic-specific webinar structure moving forward that we'll release some marketing on our social and email. But generally, the webinars are more for kind of high-level overviews and informational, a lot of times for before you've joined eventPERCH. And then once you've signed up for eventPERCH, our office hours are held every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where you can join in and hear from other planners. You can workshop your questions live. We can do screen sharing and kind of more technical deep dive into the different features and new feature releases. So office hours are definitely the place to be once you sign up for eventPERCH. And I look forward to showing you around. So a little bit about what eventPERCH is and what it is not, intentionally, as Dawson and Lynn would say. So as I said, eventPERCH evolved from a previous system that we were using that was primarily focused on timelines and budgets. When we were doing the research behind eventPERCH, we did a lot of user testing and soft launch with several, or about a dozen planning companies and industry professionals. And the feedback that we really focused on was that timelines and budgets and payment schedules are the core features that really are what drives the events, but also are where there's a lot of room for error and a lot of risk for your sort of reputation and the execution of the events. And so with eventPERCH, we decided to launch with those core features. We have a fourth feature as well, that is our contact list to export vendor accounts and their contacts for each event, but primarily focusing on really nailing down the depth and efficiencies and productivity features inside of timelines and budgets and payment schedules before we expand to other core features that other software in the market might have, or that might be useful to planners, like guest lists and checklists, and these other features that at this time eventPERCH is not focusing on. So just wanted to highlight, we do have a very active development team, and the phase that we're in now is gathering user feedback and really focusing on developing new features driven by your feedback and driven by those office hours sessions. And so if we are missing a feature that you're looking for, feel free to reach out and we can provide some information on our thoughts behind it and what the timeline might be to release it. But keep in mind, when compared to competitors, what we really strive for at eventPERCH and what we deliver on is that our timelines and budgets are the best in the market. And inside of those timelines and budgets, we have a number of extremely valuable and proven in the field tools and features, like sequences, where you can link items together and have them, when one item changes duration or time or location, the items around it shift automatically for you. We have our tagging feature, as I said earlier, so that you can quickly distribute a master timeline to each individual stakeholder so that they can see only what they need to see when they need to see it and drive productivity with your vendors and clients and teams. And then we have additional features like template features to quickly use templates for timelines, budgets, or master projects that you can quickly duplicate, use our find and replace tools, and kick off a new project or new event at a recurring venue within minutes of something that might have taken you hours previously. So again, at eventPERCH, we're intentionally focusing on these core features, and we'd love to hear your feedback as we continue to grow into new pathways and new features in the coming months and year. So as you can see here, just a little bit more about the behind the scenes on timelines, budgets, and payment schedules of the additional features and efficiency tools that I mentioned. And our goal with eventPERCH is really to save you time and make sure that accuracy is always at the forefront, so that you can plan and execute your events with confidence, and that you can make sure that no dollars are missed between the payments and the budgets, that there are no gaps in your timeline, and that all of your team members are collaborating on the same pieces. And this is what I was just explaining. We do have a large roadmap with a lot of items on it, and we will be prioritizing those features based on continuous feedback. Team assignments, guest lists, checklists, and task lists are all things we have on the docket. And we have some new features I mentioned that we just released this week and will continue to release in the coming months. And as Easton and Dawson and Lynn have always said, they would quit without it. So eventPERCH is our internal Easton Events operating tool. It's what we use for all of our wedding and event planning and execution. And we take that on the road with us for all of our destination events. And it really gives you that ability to make changes on the fly with confidence and ensures that no dollars are left on the table. Some of those examples are, which we can go into when I share my screen with some of the platform overview. But imagine, you have we had this bride with Easton who was very sensitive to the sunlight. So there was a lot of questions around where they were going to be standing and exactly when the ceremony would be taking place in relation to sunset. And just the direction they were given from the client was they wanted to wait and see and kind of make a last minute judgment call on those items for the ceremony, which, as you can imagine, as a planner, especially if you don't have eventPERCH that can facilitate automated changes for you, it can be very stressful to allow the client to make those decisions. But with eventPERCH behind them, the Easton team was able to tell the client no problem. And as it turned out, in the car on their way to the venue, the bride and the bride's family texted and decided to make a last minute change to the ceremony time. And Dawson and Lim were able to log in on their iPad in the car with their cellular service and to make a change to that sequence in real time for that ceremony. And all the ceremony hits in that sequence afterwards, and the timeline shifted automatically. And they were able to filter and send back that revised timeline within just minutes and know that everything was accurate. So that's some of the confidence and efficiency you get with eventPERCH. And I'll be happy to show you some more of the live performance in the platform itself. So without further ado, I'd love to share my screen and go into a live demonstration here of how that works. If you do have any questions, please drop them into the Q&A at the bottom, and I'll be happy to review those and maybe at the end of the call have some time to dive into some specific questions or any points that I missed for you. And otherwise, we will kick this off with my app screen share in just a moment. And so eventPERCH, again, it's a web-based application. So it is a URL that you log into on your browser. It is always live and always saving for you so that you never have to worry as you're collaborating with team members or working on offsite events, whether you have the latest information or not. And you can log in by going to our website, and there will be a login button at the top right, or you can bookmark the link. And this screen I'm sharing here is an example of our project overview, which I'll touch on in just a moment. So eventPERCH, one of the beauties that I didn't mention about eventPERCH is our customer service and our support system. So we understand how stressful and busy planning can get. And again, this project has been tested and proven in the field for over a year now with Easton Events. But we know that getting answers and having support in real time is very important. So we've built in an AI agent into eventPERCH that's named as Pip. And in the bottom right of your application, you can click the customer service widget here, and you can send a message to Pip at any time. And Pip will reply with a list of screenshots, examples, and you can kind of converse with Pip as if you were talking to ChatGPT or Claude. Pip is trained on not only eventPERCH and its knowledge base, but also on our Easton Education platform, our blogs and journals, and general planning information. And so Pip can be very helpful to give you fast answers on the fly. And my team on the customer success side is always monitoring these results. So we will jump in and provide any additional context or take over for Pip. If you need something, you can just ask for a human agent and we can always jump in. But definitely encourage you to use the support widget in the bottom right. And if you click on the help option here or on the little question mark in the bottom left, that will access our knowledge base with all of our help articles. You can search in real time and say, give me a little more information on sequences, and I can pull up the article for smart sequencing and I can read about that and watch a video on that in real time, kind of side by side with my application. Some other support features we include are once you get started, you'll have a 30-day free trial automatically. And every page that you access for the first time throughout eventPERCH will automatically pop up with a live tutorial and click you through all of the different buttons and features that we have available. So we do encourage you to take advantage of the support widget, of the knowledge base, and of that tutorial when you join. And aside from that, our office hours, as we said, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, are a really valuable tool for you all to join in and workshop questions live and hear from our team and other planners. So eventPERCH high-level overview. Before we jump into the details, I think the best place to start is really seeing what the end result of a project will look like. So if we look at one of our timelines, so one of the beauties of eventPERCH is that you have this project level and then you have the event level. So each project in your project list is a group of events that are all related to the same client and that kind of same, for example, like a wedding week. That wedding week might have your wedding day and ceremony, rehearsal dinner, welcome party, farewell brunch, farewell supper. All of those individual items are your events. And then at the project level, at any time, you can see a roll-up of the entire timeline across all of the events. That might be a week-long timeline. I think in this case for Lynn, this Tuscany event that they did had like a 13-day project where they had, set up and event days and breakdown over a 2-week period. And eventPERCH includes all of those days across your project timeline. So you can see which vendors are where and which team members are focusing on which event at any given time. So project level versus event level is something that we really utilize at Easton Events and something we hope you enjoy. Again, if you need a master project budget for the father of the bride who wants to see all of the budget line items in one place across all of the events and everything that's due, you can click on that project budget. You can give them the high level overview. At the bottom, there's a table summary of everything that is calculated in that budget between the vendor, what's owed to the vendors, the reimbursements for your company, and then what management fees you're collecting. And you can choose to break that budget down by event or by vendor or kind of by use. And so I really want to show you the end result of what you're getting, which the main benefit of eventPERCH, aside from accuracy and efficiency, is that you get beautiful branded exports and client-facing documentation and vendor-facing documentation. So when you have a timeline and you've built that out, in the top right, you can quickly export that to PDF, and you are able to get a beautiful branded visual of your entire timeline. It will just take a moment to load, and eventPERCH will produce, with your logo at the top, all of the details in that timeline, as well as your budget and a summary of your contact information at the footer of each page for a quick review. So this is an example of the finalized timeline for that wedding day for Tuscany. And again, this started on September 25th, and this timeline goes for 30 pages. And the beauty of eventPERCH, which I'll show you in a minute, is just how quickly we can filter this timeline, and we can export a timeline for every key stakeholder, for the bride and groom separately, for the vendor separately, with just a click of a couple buttons. So this is an example of the branded timeline export. And then on the budget side of things, I'll show that in just a moment as well. From a functionality standpoint, what I was mentioning with the efficiency piece is really this tag column, which you may not have seen in other timeline applications. So tags allow you to assign a vendor, like for example, the hair and makeup vendor is assigned to the hair and makeup line items because they're the vendor who is likely billing and collecting for those items, but they're also the ones who own that line item in the timeline. But who else needs to know about those hair and makeup items is where the tags come in. So for a hair and makeup item, we might also tag the planning company. We might also tag the photo video company. And so the tags allow you to not only filter a timeline for the line items assigned to a specific vendor, but also, like if you want to export a photo video timeline, we want items that are assigned to the photo video vendor, but we also want any line items in the timeline that photo video company might have to know about, like when hair and makeup is happening and ending, when the different courses of the meal are starting or ending, or first looks. And so the tags allow you to tag all the line items in your timeline and then quickly create a filter and say, I want to pull just my photo video for a particular date. So in this case, this wedding was actually on a Monday. So I'll pull Monday, October 13th. It will quickly filter for my event date. And then I also want to filter for the tag equals photo video. So this is, you can see there's multiple vendors associated, but the photo video and Jose Villa team has to know about all these other line items. And so I've now produced a timeline that covers everything photo video needs to know on just the wedding day. I can export that. I can have it include the filters, and I can say this is photo video wedding day timeline. And when I export that timeline, eventPERCH will show you the filters you have active on the top, so you never worry about sharing the wrong timeline, who it's tagged for, and then a clear, succinct list of the items that vendor needs to focus on. So that's the beauty of filters and exports in eventPERCH. And same thing goes for the budget. On the budget side of things, you have the same export options here in the top right. You can export to PDF, and this is an example of your final beautiful branded budget by category. So it's broken down for each of your categories, which you can, if you'd like to filter for a particular category or a particular vendor and export a budget for any particular stakeholder, you can do that the same way you do in the timelines. And then at the bottom of your budgets, you'll get a summary of that total of what's owed to the vendors, reimbursements, management fees, and then also a focus on just what has been paid to date and what's outstanding as a high-level overview. That gets more into the vendor payouts, which we will focus on, we'll touch on this call, but really focus on in our office hours if you'd like to go into payments and payment scheduling. So that is a real top-level view of kind of the end result of what you get with eventPERCH. You get these branded timelines and exports. We also have the new feature of a shareable link. So in any timeline or budget, you can click the share option, you can generate a shareable link and you can provide that to your client, and they will get a view-only access to your timeline or budget that will refresh in real time as you make changes, so that if you prefer not to export the individual PDFs with each change, you can give them link access as well. So we hope that that eventPERCH can really bring your documentation and your systems to the next level. And that's something that Lynn, again, starting decades ago with FileMaker, has always prided herself on, is really giving people what they need and when they need it, and only what they need to see, is an extreme driver of productivity and efficiency, and just make sure everything gets handled on time. And then additionally, you increase that confidence and reputation with your client and your partners as well. So that covers our exports and shareable links for timelines and budgets. One thing I mentioned, for example, is our sequences that I just want to touch on. So in this timeline, sequences, and this is the sequence column, sequences allow you to link multiple timeline items together, so that when one item in the sequence changes, it will automatically shift the other items for you. So as an example of a sequence, as I was saying, you might have the run of show sequence, like for your particular ceremony into cocktail hour and dinner. Those line items could be sequenced. At Easton, we might do a sequence for the hair and makeup schedule, and additionally a sequence, separately for photo and video items, and then a separate sequence for kind of like ceremony, run of show, or the dances and toasts. And so as an example here, I'll go to my toasts and dances sequence, and these line items in the timeline all get tagged to that same sequence. And I can go in and open the sequence, and I can say, okay, for this particular sequence, actually, it looks like this, this toast is going to need to happen. Addie wants to go before Sherry's toast. So I'm going to drag and drop this item, and you can see that automatically the items after it will shift based on the duration. Or maybe Addie reaches out and she says, actually, that toast, I really think I need a little more time. So let's make that toast 6 minutes instead of 3 minutes. And you can see these line items will automatically shift their time. And the sequences allow you to make those changes on the fly, whether it's for toasts or dancing or those key ceremony items. You can adjust those with confidence inside the sequence editor, save those items, and they will automatically push back to your timeline with all the correct timing. And then you can export as you would outside of sequences, and have confidence that all those line items are working accurately for you. So tags and filters are one thing that we reviewed. So really allowing you to divvy up your master timeline for all of your stakeholder needs, the robust and branded beautiful exports for timelines and budgets, as well as the sequences that we have. And then one of the remaining items I just want to dive into a little bit is on the budget side of things. So in the budgets, again, depending on how you work as a planner, you could enter your budget items as quantity of one, and then the total unit price of, let's say, $10,000 for rentals. And or you can build them out like catering items and have a quantity, per guest count and per unit price. And as those things change, eventPERCH will track all the totals for you. For any line items or groups of line items, you have the option to use our sub items and markups. So you can add automated taxes and fees, gratuities, or state or local taxes, and eventPERCH will calculate and track all that math for you in the background, so that as quantities or unit prices change, eventPERCH is automatically adjusting all the taxes and fees. And when you export your budgets, you can choose to include those markups or not for the client. So I can show an example here in another project I have. I can quickly switch to another project I'm working on at the top. And when I go to my wedding budget, you can see here I have a food and beverage menu that I've built out. It's for over $200,000 in total. And if I expand that sub item menu, I can see the breakdown of canapes, dinner, late night snacks, my bar. That bar might have a liquor tax of 10% calculating off of my bar total. And then there might be a 22% service fee on all of these items above it. And the total of that F&B menu will include taxes and fees and quantities and pricing that I have built in. And you never need to worry about a missing Excel formula or an incorrect calculation on that end. And as I said, when you export, you can choose for your client to either show a breakdown of all of those sub items and markups and taxes and fees, or you can export with just a clean roll up, where in that case, it will show the total F&B menu without the breakdown. So that's just an example of some of the additional tools and robust items behind budgets in eventPERCH. And then just quickly on the additional columns here, your company expenses allow you to mark items as reimbursements. If there are any items that you as the planner are actually purchasing and need to be reimbursed for, you can check the company expense column. And then you also have the option for your management fee. You can, for example, choose to not take your management fee on service fees or taxes if you don't want to. We recommend taking your management fee on all of those items. But eventPERCH gives you that flexibility to check or uncheck which items get your management fee. And then it will automatically calculate that management fee for you based on the items you checked and whatever percentage that you've entered in your project overview for each event. For management fees, you can choose to do a flat fee or a percentage or a combination of a percentage with a minimum flat fee as well. And eventPERCH will do all the math for you. And so from budgets, eventPERCH connects to your payout schedules, and basically anything that's owed to you as the planning company goes into your company payout. Anything that's owed to your vendors goes to the vendor payout. And then in that vendor payout, you have the option of seeing a breakdown for every vendor. eventPERCH will tell you if you missed any items inside the budget that are unassigned. It will tell you what's upcoming, how many invoices each vendor has. So in this case, the country club venue has 2 separate invoices, one for the transportation and one for the catering. And I can go into any of these invoices and I can schedule my individual installments. And then you get a clean roll up of all of your vendors, all of their invoices, and all of their installments. And we provide a calendar of payments due where you can track all of those items in real time. And just like your timelines and budgets, you have an export of all of those invoices and installments all in one place. And this is an example of what our vendor payout export looks like. You can filter these exports to say, what payments are coming due, what payments are past due, what are all of the payments under this one vendor or for this one particular invoice. And then you can export those and get a clean view broken down by vendor, by invoice of all the installments, what's been paid, what's due, a summary for each vendor, and then at the bottom, a total summary for all vendors again, to really make sure you keep track of your payments. And then as things change in your budget side of things, you link your budget items through the payment group column in invoices to your vendor payout. And as your budget changes, as you add new line items, as you adjust quantities and prices, your vendor payout will sync in real time and will alert you when you have new installments that need to be scheduled or items that have been over or undercharged. So you never have to worry about missing a dollar or leaving something on the table. So that is a high level of our core features of timelines, budgets, and vendor payouts. And then the last bucket we have here is our templates. So for any budget or timeline or even an entire project, you can save those as a template at any time. So if you have a timeline or budget that you build out that's super robust, or that you are working with the same venue over and over again, we encourage you to save those as templates, and you can name those templates. You can even save an entire project as a template, and it will save all of the events and all of their timelines and budgets and details. And then when you're creating a new project and you're going back to that same venue, you can populate from a template and load that existing template that you've saved. eventPERCH will, in just a matter of seconds, load in all of those existing events and timelines and budgets with a new name and allow you to use our find and replace tool to quickly replace and swap vendors and start a fresh project with events in just a matter of minutes, which would normally require you to recreate all those line items from scratch. And so definitely check out the template features when you're inside of a timeline or a budget. Once you've populated that, you can use our find and replace tool, or you can click Command F on a Mac. It will pull up our find and replace, and you can say, for this project, I want to take Skyline in the vendor, and I want to replace Skyline with a signature welcome. And I can replace one by one and click through all of the instances where Skyline shows up, or I can replace all of those at once and have my new timeline with my new vendors ready in just minutes. So that is about all that we have time for as far as our feature deep dive. And again, if you sign up for eventPERCH and join our office hours, we would love to show you some more in-depth features that we have available and a deeper dive into the payment schedules and installments. But for now, we will stop there on the feature side of things, and we will open the floor for any questions you have, and also happy to send a recording of this call and any follow-ups that you might have as well. So without further ado, I will change over to our slideshow here. If you do have questions, again, feel free to sign up and reach out to Pip, or send us a chat with the widget there, or you can email us at hello@eventperch.com. And it's very easy to sign up. If you'd like to scan the QR code, it just takes a number of minutes. And it was a pleasure meeting with you today. And I don't see any active questions inside of the Q&A here, but if you do have any, drop them in and I'm happy to answer those. Otherwise, we will be back next week on Wednesday at 12 p.m. for office hours. And then again, Wednesday at 1 p.m. next week, I'll be doing a little bit of a deeper dive into our new feature set on the shareable links and the per project member team access that I mentioned earlier. And maybe on the next one, Dawson and Lynn will be available to join as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and thanks again, and have a great week.